Today we're going to talk about adding integers, and before we can do that we need to know what opposites are. Opposites are two numbers with the same absolute value but with different signs. So when I think of opposites, I think of yes and no. To me, yes is a positive answer, no is a negative answer. Kind of goes along with our opposites with math. -4 and +4, they are opposites. One is a positive answer, one is a negative answer. So another set of opposites would be 10 and -10, or 15 and -15. Next, zero pair. A zero pair happens when you have one positive and one negative number, and that makes 0. What goes along with that is the additive inverse property. It just says that the sum of opposites is 0. So again, if you have -4 plus +4, your answer would be 0. If you had some other number plus its opposite, the answer of that would be 0. If you had 100 plus -100, yep, the answer to that is 0. So the additive inverse property says that when you have opposites and you're adding them together, the sum is 0. Alright, so when we're adding integers and they have the same sign, so that means when you're adding two positive numbers together or more, or two negative numbers together, you're going to add their absolute values together and then use the same sign for the answer. And I have some examples of that next. So here we have this first example, -3 plus -5. So if I use my numbers here to make -3, and we'll make negative. So now I have my -3 numbers plus my -5 numbers. So all together I have -8 numbers all together. Okay, we can do another one. So we'll have -6 plus -1. So I have my 6 negative numbers, and we're going to add to that one more negative number. So now all together I have -7 numbers. And then in the last example, we have -2 plus -4. So I'll make that real quick. So there's 2, and get my 4 numbers in there. And all together for that, I have 6 negative numbers. I have 2 negative numbers here and 4 negative numbers there, so that makes an answer of -6. So that works really well when the signs are the same, when you have 2 negative numbers to add or 2 positive numbers to add. But what happens if you have one of each? What happens when you have different signs? When you have those different signs, a positive and you're adding a negative, or the other way around, you need to subtract those absolute values. Then you have to figure out what sign to give the answer. Well, you need to look at your add-ins, and whatever there was more of gives the sign to the answer. I have some examples. So if I have 2 positives added to 2 negatives, so let's see what that looks like with our number cubes. So 2 positives and then 5 negatives. My numbers are not the same kind of numbers. I have positives here and negatives here. So what happens is I have that one positive and one negative, so I can make a 0 pair. So I'm going to circle these. This is now 0. It's gone. This one is 0. It's gone. So what do I have left? I have 3 negative numbers. So 2 plus -5 is -3. So what we've done is we thought, well, I'm going to take 5 and I'm going to subtract 2. And that gives me an answer of 3. So then I have to decide which one had more. Well, there was only 2 positive numbers, but there were 5 negative numbers, so my answer would end up being negative. Okay, let's try another one. The second one says -4 and see if we're going to add 3 positives. So I can't just add these numbers together because they're not the same kind of numbers. I have 4 negatives and I have 3 positives. So that means I need to make those 0 pairs. So we'll put a negative and a positive together and make 0. We'll put another negative together with a positive to make 0, and one more time. So I have 1 negative number left. So if I'm using the rule, I would take the 2 numbers and I would subtract them. So 4 minus 3 equals 1. Then I have to decide what kind of sign to give my answer. So since I had more negative numbers, I had 4 of those, and only 3 positive numbers, then my answer is negative. So let's see what happens when I have more positives. So on this one I have 6 plus negative 4. Let me get that set up. Okay, so I have my 6 positive numbers and my 4 negative numbers, so I need to make my 0 pairs. So I'm going to make 4 of these. So a positive and a negative make 0. They cancel each other out. So what do we have left? We have 2 positive numbers. So again, using the rule, I'm going to take 6 minus 4, and when I do that, get my equal sign in, I get an answer of 2, and then I have to decide, what did I have more of? Well, I had more positive numbers this time. I had 6. So therefore my answer is positive 2.